Class is now in session. I'm Professor Hockey, and today we'll be discussing the Seattle expansion draft, because while the expansion draft is tonight, it has been reported, and I would say I would take this with 99% certainty that Alex True was chosen from the San Jose Sharks to go over to the Seattle Kraken instead of all of the other discussed options. So this one ends up coming a bit out of left field, kind of a surprise, I would say. Not a massive surprise. Alex True was one of the better Sharks prospects who was available, as Alex True, you could say, is like a top 10 prospect for the San Jose Sharks. But the fact is that that's not really saying all that much. It's not as though you're a top 10 prospect for like the Detroit Red Wings, who have been bad for a very long time, so you expect all their prospects to be very good. For the San Jose Sharks, most of their prospects aren't really necessarily all that fantastic, and so you're taking a player like Alex True, who even at his best, even with him panning out completely to his potential, you're probably expecting maybe a third liner with a strong defensive game, which is kind of weird because the Seattle Kraken probably could have gotten a player who can already play at that level right now and who is also still rather young. They could have gone with Gambrell, and Gambrell's definitely a bit more of a fourth line center than he is a third line center at this point, but he's from the area, and at the very least he could be a roster player immediately, while Alex True might need a year. Depends. He did get a few games with the San Jose Sharks this year, and he didn't look awful, but he also didn't look particularly effective either. They could have gone with Ryan Donato if they wanted a bit more offensive flair. Donato had the potential to be one of those surprise misfit type of players like the Vegas Golden Knights had in their inaugural season, like with William Karlsson. Ryan Donato could have been that type of player for them. They could have gone with a bit more of a veteran touch with Matt Nieto, who would solidly play their penalty kill and play in their bottom six. Of course, they could have gone with the back end help with Radim Shemek, but instead they decide to go with Alex True. So I don't know if this means that the Seattle Kraken are not going to necessarily try to be super competitive in this first season, or if it means that they didn't think that any player on the Sharks was worth taking to help be super competitive this season, and if I should take that as an insult or not. But in the end, the Sharks will manage to escape this Seattle expansion draft relatively unscathed. It happened a few years ago with the Vegas Golden Knights. They lost David Schlemko, which really wasn't a huge loss. Coming into this expansion draft, I thought they would end up losing a rather effective player, but honestly, I'm not too torn up about losing Alex True here, and so the Sharks managed to be in a pretty decent position after this, unlike what a lot of other teams will likely be by the end of the day. Class dismissed.